Selamun Aleyküm. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمدرسول مدد يا رسول مدد يا سادات أصحاب مدد يا مشاهد دستور مولانا شاء الله فاز داسا شاء محمد الرحمن مدد طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجمعية. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وخلق الإنسان ضعيفا صدق الله العظيم. Allah insanı zayıf yaratmış.
Allah Almighty has created humankind weak.
Kimse ben böyleyim diye övünmesin diye.
And Allah Almighty has created humankind weak, and so that no one may claim and boast, I'm this, I'm that.
Allah isterse zayıfı kuvvetli yapar.
If Allah Almighty desires, He may make the weak powerful,
kuvvetliyi de zayıf yapar.
or He Almighty Allah may make the powerful weak.
Onun için Allah Azze ve Celle'nin emrinde olmayalıyız.
All we must be concerned about is to fulfill Allah Almighty's orders.
Subhanallah. Bugün de işte bu mesele oldu. O da insanların ne kadar zayıf olduğunu yapıyor.
Today, this incident happened, and it showed us and reminded us of how weak a human is.
Allah razı olsun. Uykuya dalmışız galiba.
So it happened that we fell asleep.
Şimdiye kadar Allah'a şükür sabah namazını bari kaçırmadık.
And we have been sleeping till now, and we are thankful to Allah Almighty that at least we did not miss Fajr prayer.
Gece namazlarını hepsini kaçırttık.
We missed all the night prayers.
Sabah namazı çaldılar kapıyı, uyandırdılar.
But for Fajr, they rang the bell, they knocked on the door and woke us up.
İnsan gaflete düşüyor. İnsan zayıftır istediği.
And this shows that humankind may be caught in a moment of heedlessness.
Allah Azze ve Celle onun fazl-ı keremiyle bütün ibadetleri yaparız.
And this shows us how weak we are. All the acts of worship we perform, we only perform through the will of Allah Almighty. He, Almighty Allah, is the one who enables us to do these things.
Saatler yaparız, ona şükretmek lazım.
And we must constantly remind ourselves of this reality, that it is Him, Allah Almighty, who enables us to do these things. And we must always be thankful for every act of worship we are allowed to do.
İnsanların başkalarının gaflet dediğimiz şey Allah'ın iradesiymiş. İradesidir.
And also, when you are caught in a moment of heedlessness, it is also through the will of Allah Almighty.
Bu büyük yaptığımız her şey Allah'ın fazl-ı keremiyle oluyor.
And everything we do and every act of worship we perform is only through the divine favor and the grace and generosity of Allah Almighty.
Ben yaptım, ben şu yaptım, tekrar yapma diye böbürlenmek.
Never boast and never say such a thing such as, I did this, others did not do.
Olmaz.
You must never be proud of those things of which you do compared to others.
Galiba evliyadan büyüklerinden biridir. Tam hatırlamıyorum kim olduğunu.
And there's this story of one of the great saints. I do not exactly remember which saint it was.
Bağdat'ta babasıyla sabahtan önce tabii teheccüde kalkmış.
And he lived in Baghdad. And it occurred that he woke up for Fajr. He woke up for the night prayer, for tahajjud with his father.
Allah'a şükür biz kalktık. Bak bütün insanlar gaflette yatıyor, uyuyor.
And the son thereupon said to his father, after waking up for tahajjud, thanks to Allah, we woke up for tahajjud while all others are sleeping. The son said to his father,
Biz Allah'a şükür olsun. Biz teheccüde kalktık.
Thanks to Allah, we woke up. The son said,
Onlar uyuyor.
the others are still sleeping.
Babası dedi, keşke sen de uyusan da.
Thereupon, his father replied to him, if only you had also fallen asleep and did not wake up.
Bu lafı söylemeseydin dedi.
If only you had also sleepen and if only you had not waken up, so that you would not have said such a thing. The father said to his son,
Böbürlenmek olmaz.
you must never be proud or boast about those things you do,
Allah'ın fazl-ı keremiyle her şey oluyor.
because it's not you who does these things. It is Him, Allah Almighty, who enables you to do these things.
Kalkarsan da yatarsan da seni gaflete düşüren de Allah Azze ve Celle'dir. Onun için
When you wake up, when you fall asleep, or when you are caught in a state of heedlessness, everything happens through the will of Allah Almighty.
tarikat edeptir.
And the tariqah teaches us about adab, the good manners and behavior.
Edepte Allah'a şükretmek. Hiçbir şeyini görmeyeceksin. Bir şeye kıymet vermeyeceksin.
And adab teaches us first and foremost to show proper and good behavior and to realize that we do not do anything by ourselves, but it is only through the will of Allah Almighty. And we must not attach any value or importance to those things which we do.
İbadetlerimiz, taatlarımız hepsi kıymeti yok.
The acts of worship we perform, they don't have value.
Allah Azze ve Celle istemedikten sonra sen
We couldn't do any of these things if Allah Almighty did not want us to do them.
nefsini ilk başta yapacaksın. Başkalarını şu böyledir, bu böyledir olmaz.
We must constantly remind our egos of this reality, and we must never compare ourselves to others and consider ourselves superior to others.
Ona mukayese yapmak nefsini şeytanın bir oyunudur o da.
It is not appropriate to compare yourself to others and to consider yourself superior to others. That is a trap by your ego and shaitan.
Nefsini büyütmek için sen teheccüdler kalkıyorsun.
Shaitan, in order to make your ego become bigger and bigger, tells you, look at yourself. You are waking up for tahajjud. You're making all these things.
Yapıyorsun. Gece uyumuyorsun.
You don't sleep at night. You worship all night long.
Böyle yapıyorsun diye onu sana tuzak kurup
Thus, Shaitan will try to trap you by telling you all those things which you do in order to make your ego become bigger and bigger.
Kazandığın şeyleri kaybetmek için.
But if you give in to those whisperings, you will lose all those things which you won.
Tarikata giren bazı insanlarda benim derecem ne kadar oldu diye soran çok oluyor.
And also, those who follow tariqah, there are among them who enter the way of tariqah, there are also many who ask, I wonder what my station is, they say.
O da usuldan, adaptan değil. Sen
That is also not appropriate, and that is also not good behavior. It's not adab to ask about your station.
Tarikat dedi zaten Allah Azze ve Celle'nin yolu.
The tariqah is not about asking about stations. The tariqah is about following the way of Allah Almighty and fulfilling Allah Almighty's orders.
Nefsini terbiye için.
The tariqah is about teaching your ego.
Girmişsin. Onu da sormaya usuldan, adaptan değil.
And therefore it is not appropriate and it is not good behavior to ask about your station.
Yapacaksın. Hiç yola devam edeceksin. En büyük keramet, ecellül keramet, devam-ı tevfik.
All you should be concerned about is to continue in following the way of fulfilling Allah Almighty's orders.
Yola devam etmek en büyük keramettir.
And the greatest of all miracles is to be steadfast.
Allah'a hamd edeceksin, şükredeceksin.
The greatest miracle of all is to be steadfast in following Allah Almighty's way, and you must be thankful to Allah Almighty that you are able to follow His way.
Başkalarına mukayese yapmayacaksın.
Don't look at others or compare yourself at others, despising others.
Allah bilir sonumuz ne olur.
Only Allah Almighty knows what our ending will be.
Sabit kadam olmamızdır.
Therefore, what is important and what we should be asking for is to be steadfast in following His way.
Olan. Sabit kadam olmadıktan sonra istersen bütün ibadetleri yap. Şeytan da öyle Allah muhafaza etsin.
If you are not steadfast in following through, if you are not steadfast in following Allah Almighty's way, then it does not matter whatever you do. Look at Shaitan, at all those things, look at all those things he did before becoming Shaitan.
Bütün hiçbir yer kalmamış. Yeryüzünde, gökyüzünde namaz kılmadığı yer kalmamış.
There is no place on this earth or no place in the heavens where Shaitan did not worship Allah Almighty.
Sonunda da en rezil, en kötü mahlukat olmuş.
But look at what became of him. He ruined himself and became the lowest and the most terrible among all.
Onun için ona benzememek için Allah yolunda devam edeceksin.
Therefore, in order not to be like Shaitan, you must be steadfast in following through and following Allah Almighty's way constantly.
Ona buna bakmadan
without looking at what others do.
Ne kadar yaptım, ne derecem oldu diye.
And without looking at what you do and being proud of what you do.
Sormadan devam edeceksin.
You just simply need to follow through and follow Allah Almighty's way in fulfilling His orders.
Bu yolda Allah muhafaza etsin. Bazen istemeyerek olsa da devam ettiğin vakit bir hal olursa o ibadetin gene aynı şekilde mükafatlandırırsın.
May Allah Almighty protect us, and may Allah Almighty make us to be steadfast. Of course, sometimes, even though you may not want those things to happen, sometimes those incidents occur and which you don't want them to happen, but they happen outside of your will, and then those things happen through the will of Allah Almighty.
Allah AZZAWAJAL'ın lütfu keremiyle burada gene bir kıssa var.
And Allah Almighty, when those incidents happen, even though you did not want them to happen, but if they happen, then Allah Almighty still, through His generosity and mercy, He will reward you as if you had performed that worship.
Hazreti Basan Hazretleri bizim olduğu gibi bugün gece namazlarına uyuyakalmış.
And there is this story about Bayazid Bistami, that great saint who also missed, like it happened to us, the tahajjud prayers, the night prayer.
Kalkamamış.
And he did not manage to wake up.
Sabah namazını galiba yakılmış, zor yetişmiş.
And he either nearly missed the Fajr prayer or hardly made it to Fajr prayer.
Şeytan çok sevmiş.
And Shaitan became very happy.
Ondan sonra Bayezid Hazretleri üzülmüş, ağlamış.
And Bayazid Bastami became very sad and he cried.
Çok üzülmüş, ağlamış.
And he was profoundly saddened by the fact that he had missed tahajjud.
Allah Azze ve Celle onun o yaptığı şeylerin yapamadığını 1000 kat daha fazla.
Bayazid Bastami was so sad and he sought Allah Almighty's forgiveness and he repented to that extent that Allah Almighty was in the end so pleased with him that Allah Almighty rewarded him 1,000 times for those things which he missed.
Sevabını yazmış. O gayipte görüyor, şeytan da görüyor.
And Shaitan, he saw that Bayazid Bastami was rewarded 1,000 times for what he had missed.
İkinci defa gene bir kaç zaman sonra gene uykuya dalmış.
And then after some time there was another incident where he fell asleep.
Bakmış biri uyandırıyor kendisini.
And then suddenly he realized that somebody was waking up.
İttiriyor. Bakmış şeytan uyandırıyor.
There was someone trying to wake him up, someone trying to push him, and he looked, it was Shaitan.
Yani, kalk namaz kıl demiş.
And Shaitan was telling Bayazid Bastami, quickly wake up, perform Fajr prayer.
Akşam sabah kaçırıyor. Yani nasıl sen böyle yapıyorsun demiş.
You are going to miss Fajr prayer. And Bayazid Bistami was bewildered. Why are you waking me up? You are shaitan.
Sen beni uyutman lazım daha
You should be making me sleep further and make me miss Fajr prayer.
Geçen defa uyuttuk.
Last time you made me fall asleep.
1000 defa daha fazla sevap kazandım. Onun için şimdi kalk bir taneyle idare edelim demiş.
And then shaitan said, yes, last time I made you fall asleep, but you were rewarded 1,000 times for what you had missed. And now I prefer to make you wake up to just get one reward.
Onun için yani bu gaflette düşen insan, ibadet eden insan hastalıktı, şuydu buydu falan olunca Allah o ecri sahabı aynen yazıyor. Yani.
And that is through the generosity and mercy and favors of Allah Almighty, that if there is a state of heedlessness, a state of condition which you did not intend to happen, like being sick, or if there's a disease, or when you truly become heedless, even though you did not want that to happen and you did not have that intention, that Allah Almighty will reward you as if you had performed that worship.
Allah affetsin hepimizi.
May Allah Almighty forgive us all.
Allah sizden de razı olsun, bu kadar sabrettiniz belki.
And may Allah Almighty be pleased with you all because you waited for such a long time for us to come.
ومن الله التوفيق. الفاتحة.